everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Georgia. Today I have my September reading wrap up. September was a good reading month for me. I read 11 books in total, 9 of which were romance, 1 thriller, 1 fantasy and 1 memoir / non-fiction. Out of the 11, 2 were on my Kindle and 2 were audiobooks. So what does that leave? 7 paperbacks? Is the maths correct? Don't know. A pretty good reading month. Obviously a big chunk of them were from when I was on holiday. Go and watch the reading vlog if you have not already. But we're just going to get straight on into them. So the first book that I read in September was Holding the Reins by Paisley Hope. This is a cowboy romance. It's brother's best friend. The guy is a retired hockey player too. So we have got so many tropes in there already. Basically the female main character is the typical sort of, she moves away from the countryside to the big city. She kind of is in a bit of a shitty toxic relationship, so she comes back home and the guy has like grew up with her family. It's obviously brother's best friend, and now that she's back home things start up between them. I really enjoyed this one. I found it really easy to read, very like easy to digest, quick to get through. The romance really enjoyed as well. The guy in this, amazing. Honestly, put anybody in a cowboy hat and make him like a tiny bit grumpy, I'm gonna love him. I honestly cannot remember much about this. I feel like the month of September felt so long and I feel like I read the like beginning books so long ago. So my memory is a little bit hazy, but I think I gave this one like around about a 4 stars, maybe like a 3.75, just because I did really enjoy it, but don't think it's like my favourite cowboy romance that I've ever read, and like they're not probably going to be one of my favourite couples, like I know that they're not, but it was really good. And I actually do hope that this is like part of a series. I think it might be, but I really enjoyed the writing and the characters and the town and everything like that, so I'm hoping that we will get some more books. Next up I read The Love Hypothesis, finally my first ever Ali Hazelwood book. Can't believe that it's taken me this long. I gave this one like a 3.25, let's go with. I enjoyed it, like don't get me wrong, I did enjoy the book, but I don't know if it's like an issue with her writing style or like the way that she tells a story, and like I don't know what it is. I just felt like it was quite hard for me to get into. I will say I felt like at the beginning of the month I wasn't slumpy, but I almost just didn't have the motivation to pick up a book, and I felt like then this one I just was not gripped by it. I don't know if like I said, the writing style is just a little bit slower, or the way that she like describes things, I have no idea. But it definitely took me a while to get into it, and then I just didn't feel invested in the characters. Like I didn't really care for the couple. I can swoon over pretty much anything, and I just feel like the guy didn't really do it for me. But I did still enjoy it. Like it wasn't a bad book, and it definitely wasn't like a bad romance or anything like that. It just wasn't a favourite. Very standard mediocre for me personally. I am glad that I can now say that I've read Ali Hazelwood books though, because I definitely felt left out, and I do have literally every single book of hers on my TBR. So I'm hoping that I will like a few of those a little bit more. Then I read The Bodyguard by Catherine Centre. This one was so cute. I don't know what I rated this. I think again this would maybe be like a 3.5, a 4. Because I enjoyed it and it was very cute, very easy to read. I absolutely flew through this one. It's literally like under 300 pages or just over 300 pages. Like I did really enjoy this. But again, it's one of those books where like the couple isn't going to stick with me for very long. Like I already could not really tell you what they're called. And I don't know, I'm kind of like... dare I say, I don't want to say I'm over romances, because I'm absolutely not. Like I'm such a romance girl, but I think like I was saying this in maybe a past video, like a previous vlog or something, I feel like now that I've read romance books like the Magnolia Park series, like The Boys of Tommen, I need that emotional depth. Don't get me wrong, I love books like this, and you will see every single book pretty much that I've read this month are sort of like rom-coms, fluffy romances, which I love. But I'm realizing that for me to really connect with a book and really love a book, obviously it needs to have like that emotional depth. This is still a good book, it's just not going to be a 5-star for me, which is what I'm now realizing. Anyway, going on a tangent, but I really enjoyed it still. Like loved it, it was very good. I did actually listen to like a few chapters of the audiobook and I enjoyed that also. In this book we basically have a celebrity guy. Is he an actor? Yes, he's an actor, and then the main female character. She is a bodyguard essentially, and it's kind of like he's got a stalker, so she's put on his assignment, but he doesn't want to worry his family and let his family know that he has a bodyguard and that he has a stalker and that he kind of like obviously needs a bodyguard. So they fake date. So we've got fake dating, female bodyguard, kind of like forced proximity, because then they end up like at his family home. Next up was The X-Files, one of my favourites of the month. So kind of going off what I was saying, like when you add in almost like emotional depth, or if you can relate to the characters more, that is when a book is going to get a higher rating from me. I feel like I'm being like obvious, like obviously you're going to rate a book more if you feel like you connect with the characters, but like I don't know how to explain it. This was my first Jessica Joyce book and I cannot wait to get to You With a View. I don't know if this one actually has better ratings than You With a View though, but either way I loved her writing style. I literally ate this up. This follows Eli and Georgia. I will say it is very strange hearing, it's like the first time I've ever read a book where any character, I think, or definitely the main character is called Georgia. It is so weird reading your name like in a book, especially like smut scenes, spicy scenes. I was getting all hot and flustered. Anyway, going off topic. This follows Eli and Georgia, who were together, ended up splitting up, but they were best friends. They're in like a trio of best friends. They've split up, but they don't want to kind of like let that affect the friendship between the trio, because their other best friend is getting married and they are the best people. They are in charge of organising the wedding. It's a complete disaster and they are forced to like be alongside each other, work together to try and like sort the wedding. Honestly, I did not expect to love this as much as I did. So you kind of have second chance, there's the angst, there's the pining, there's the like longing glances and like just the backstory between them. Give me a second chance romance, I will eat it up every time. I think it just adds that extra depth of like they know each other, they love each other, like they know each other inside out, and they almost have to like forget that and interact like normal people. I'm gonna eat up a second chance romance every damn time. Eli, what a man. And Georgia in this, it must be a namesake thing, because I felt like she was in my head. Like I related to her so much, like her anxieties, the list making, the people pleasing, like she is me. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why I connected with this book so much and why I loved it so much, as well as like it does touch on other topics like therapy, navigating friendships, career choices, everything like that. And I just loved the way that this was done. This was so good to me. So close to a 5-star. I just didn't quite get that 5-star feeling, but I would say it's like 4.75. I cried at this multiple times. Like I shed a tear a few times. Just, it was beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, loved it. Then I read When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This is my like second Sarah Adams book. Very easy to read, very cute, very easy to digest. This follows Amelia and Noah. Amelia is the pop princess, and one day she kind of has enough. She loves Audrey Hepburn and she takes a leaf out of her book and escapes to Rome, but the nearest Rome is not in Italy, it's in Kentucky. She goes there to kind of like get some space, clear her head. It's this tiny little town and she meets Noah, who is the owner of a pie shop. I love anything set in a small town where you have like those little cameos from the townspeople, anything that kind of gives like Gilmore Girls vibes. She actually ends up moving in with him briefly because like she breaks down on his lawn or in his front garden or something, and she has to go in to like use his phone, and she ends up like staying there because, again, going back to like the townspeople, everyone's involved, it's a small town, everyone gossips, etc. He's kind of grumpy, she is like the pop princess, like a little sunshine girly, and I love this. It was very easy to read. Again, like I know I was on holiday, so a lot of these books I'm gonna be like, I read in one sitting. I was sat like all day literally just chilling by a pool, so it's not exactly very hard, but like couldn't put this down. So easy to read. The chapters, you know, when you're just like flying through them and you're like, oh, just read one more, and then you've got 20 pages left of the book. That was very much this vibe, and I felt like that with the real book as well, which is the only other book of hers that I've read. Just so easy to read. I think I would give this like a 4 stars. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit less. I do really struggle with my rating because 3 stars to me is still a good book. 4 stars is like a very good book, and I don't know if I would say that this was like a very, very good book, but I really enjoyed it. I don't know how to explain it. I don't think I'm going to think about this couple very much. Like, they're not going to be a new favourite of mine. They're not going to like be at the forefront of my mind, but I really enjoyed it whilst I was reading. So take from that what you will. Next up, we have This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. This is my favourite Carly Fortune book now. I've read, well, I think she must have other books, I'm assuming, but I've read Every Summer After, Meet Me at the Lake, and then this. Definitely my favourite. This one follows Lucy and Felix. It's brother's best friend, but like she doesn't know that to begin with. They essentially have a one-night stand, and then they figure out that it's the brother's best friend. Not brother's best friend, best friend's brother. It's set on PEI. On PEI? In PEI? I don't know, not Canadian. So you kind of have like a then and now timeline. Her best friend and her family, they have like this vacation home in PEI, and that's where they meet. They go back like a few times, and you kind of like get the then timeline of them kind of like hooking up, and then the now timeline, which follows the main character Lucy. Her best friend is getting married, so the guy's sister, and she's kind of like having a little bit of an episode, and she needs them all there. So they are all together in the vacation home for the first time in a few years, I think, and it's kind of like them navigating the relationship, their feelings, like are they gonna do a one-night stand thing again, are they gonna leave it, etc, etc. But the sister slash best friend does not know. I just really love this. Like I said, again, anything with like a little bit of a backstory with like angst and pining and just tension, loved it. And then the last physical book that I read this month is another Ali Hazelwood book. We have Love Theoretically. I enjoyed this one a lot more than The Love Hypothesis, but again, it still just is not going to be like my favourite romance book of all time. I do feel like obviously they are very academic and also very scientific, which unfortunately I'm not a science girly. Wish I was that clever. I've always been an English and history girly over a maths and science girly. So a lot of this obviously went over my head, but I did enjoy this couple more than The Love Hypothesis. I loved the guy. He was down so bad from the get-go, and I love that in a man. I really enjoyed the way that they interacted. I liked the relationship. I liked the way it progressed and everything like that. And yeah, I did really enjoy it. I just feel like her books are maybe like a little bit long. Like we could have cut out a big section of this, I guess. But this follows Jack and Elsie, and basically Elsie kind of fake dates on the side. Like she pretends to be people's fake girlfriends for some extra cash, and she starts fake dating Jack's brother. But then also like alongside that storyline, you have Elsie, who is trying out for a new job. She goes in, and basically Jack is the person that kind of stands between her and this new job. So you have like both alternating ways that they know each other, I guess. I did enjoy it, and like I say, it was quite easy to read, but I was not getting bored at times. I just felt like, okay, we can wrap this up now, like we can kind of move it along a little bit. And also like there wasn't that much like angst between them for the book to kind of like carry on that long. I mean, the book is not long, it's like 380 pages, but I just mean like they were kind of like together quite a while before the end, I feel like. So it could have just been wrapped up quicker, is basically what I'm trying to say. Going on to my Kindle reads, we have The Crimson Moth. I love this book. I think I would give this like a 4.75. So this and The X-Files, favourite books of the month. It was just so good. Again, I could not put this down. I had heard like conflicting things going into this. Some people loved it, some people thought it was quite average. It is a YA fantasy, and it follows Rune and Gideon. Rune is a witch, Gideon is a witch hunter. Straight away that had me gripped. Like I was hooked from the moment I started reading this book. I loved the magic system, I loved the plot, I loved the characters, I loved how it was told, everything. So basically in this one, witches used to rule like the kingdom. They were in charge, they were the queens. You have like the sister witch queens. Sister witch queens? I don't know what they're called. And then an uprising happened where basically the sister queens were killed, and from then on being a witch was like illegal. All witches were killed, and then you kind of have like the repercussions of that in terms of like you can't be a witch. Any witches, like I said, are killed. So either the witches have gone into hiding, or like they're dead. But introducing Rune. Rune is a witch, but she is hiding in plain sight. She essentially pretends to be not a witch hunter, but part of like the witch haters, like the elite sort of part of society that hates witches. She pretends to be in that inner circle when she herself is a witch. And not only is she just a witch, she is the Crimson Moth, which is basically this like thing, this person that is going around and helping witches escape from the witch hunters. Then we have Gideon, who of course you guessed it is the witch hunter. They strike up a little bit of a romance because it's mutually beneficial on both sides. Both parties are looking at the other for like information and to like further their agenda. But of course they start catching feelings, but it's like enemies to lovers because they hate each other apparently, like in truth, but they are trying to like win the other person over in order to get information. I loved this. I was literally like on the edge of my seat. I will admit, like, the plot is not that in depth. Sounds bad, but I just mean like some parts were a little bit repetitive, and obviously like for a first book in a series, you kind of like world building, setting up the plot, setting up the magic system, etc. So it's not going to be like the most intricate of plots, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. There wasn't much spice, which I don't care about, can give or take spice. I think that's where a lot of people's criticisms came from, is that it was meant to be like a cat and mouse, spicy type thing, and it's really not. Like, there's not that much spice at all. Like I said, that does not bother me. I loved this regardless, and I cannot wait for the next book. I will say I did guess like the big plot twist, but I've said this already, I think, in my like holiday reading vlog, that did not take away from like the reading experience for me at all. If anything, I was almost like racing to figure out if I was right, which I haven't had in like a long time. And I don't know, I really enjoyed this, really loved it. Next book I read on my Kindle was Seeing Red. This is number 2 in the Wells Ranch series. I read the first book in the summer and I really loved it, and then the little cameos that we got of this male main character, I loved him, and I was like, wow, literally can't wait for his book. So I started that one, and I did feel a little bit underwhelmed, just because, like I said, I was really looking forward to seeing the guy and like his love interest, and I actually just felt like she could have been better, which I don't know, like, don't get me wrong, I liked it, and I knew nothing about this book going into it, like I didn't know any of the tropes or anything. It is a accidental pregnancy trope, which I don't mind. Like, it's not my favourite, but it's not, I don't hate it. Some of my favourite books have that trope in, Out on a Limb, Reckless, so like maybe I do like it more than I think. But anyway, I didn't know that that was the trope going into it, and then I just felt like the female main character, she kind of made our male main guy feel a little bit shitty, like insecure for like no reason, but she didn't really kind of like comfort him when she very easily could have. And I just feel like if it was the other way around, we would be shit talking the man, to be honest. But aside from that, again, I absolutely ate it up. I feel like the writing style and everything was just so easy to read, so easy to get through, and I really enjoyed it. The spice scenes in this were insane. I'd probably give this one like a 3.75, 3.5, somewhere in that range. If the female main character was a little bit better, would have loved this one even more. Then the only other 2 books that I have finished are audiobooks. I listened to The Perfect Marriage. I enjoyed this one. I just felt like, now looking back on it, it's very predictable. So in this one, I cannot even tell you their names, could not remember the names. We have a wife and a husband, and the husband is cheating on the wife, and then basically his mistress turns up dead. He is #1 suspect in the murder, but his wife is a defense lawyer, so she defends him. She defends her husband, who was cheating on her, for the murder of his mistress. Crazy. And straight away I was a bit like, oh, I feel like you're gonna know who's done it. I was correct, but like the way that it's told, and obviously the different avenues that you go down, the different suspects, etc., I did enjoy it. Like, I enjoyed listening to it, and I liked the premise of the book. I just felt like it maybe could have been done with a few more like twists, or a little bit more exciting. I don't know. A little bit forgettable. I do find it hard to find thrillers that I would give like a 5 star. just because I either feel like they're so ridiculously unrealistic and like popcorn thrillers, which is kind of like the Freedom McFaddens in my opinion, or they're really predictable. So I'm trying to find a thriller that will literally have me gripped. I don't know if maybe I'm gonna need to read more of like a slasher type thing, but anyway, yeah, I would give it probably like a 3, very middle of the road, enjoyed it, but wouldn't rave about it type vibes. And then the last one is Loud by Drew Afawalo. This is like a memoir, non-fiction, biography type book. It's kind of like a discussion on womanhood, the patriarchy, misogyny, growing up as like a girl, a teenager, a woman, and dealing with men in that way. I love this. I don't really give like these type of books ratings, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really do like Drew, and just everything that she says is just so bang on. And yeah, really enjoyed this one. Everything that she said, I was literally like, sometimes I was having to like take my headphones out or like pause it and just kind of like take it in. Don't get me wrong, I don't think anything that she was saying was like revolutionary. It's stuff that we all know, but it was so nice to hear like a discussion on it and it being talked about in that way. I don't know how to explain it, but I really enjoyed it. Okay, and then I'm kind of cheating here a little bit, but I'm going to include this book because I'm currently filming this 2 days before the end of September, and I will have finished this before the end of September. Again, I will put like my little review on here somewhere, but it is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This one follows on from When in Rome. Not really, but it follows the main guy out of that book's sister, and Amelia out of that book, it follows her bodyguard. He's the guy in it. I am really enjoying this. Again, like I said, I find her writing style so easy to read. It's just so cute and very easy to digest, sort of like get stuck straight in. Annie is like the sweet, sort of innocent kind of girl, and then we have Will, who is obviously like a celebrity bodyguard. He's tattooed, he's a little bit grumpy, gives kind of like touch her and die vibes, but these two get on so well. I am only about 100 pages in. It's like just over 300 pages, so I'm about a third of the way, but I am really enjoying it. The bit that I've got up to, they are kind of going to start not fake dating, but Annie wants to settle down, but she's never really dated before. She's quite awkward, so Will is going to step in and give her dating tips. That's the bit where I'm up to. They've just kind of came to that decision, that compromise, and I think I'm really going to enjoy it. So I will, like I say, put my review on here, or make sure you are following my book Insta, my Goodreads, to see all of my thoughts on this book and whatever else I read too. But that wraps up my September reads. A lot of romances, a lot of summer books in here because I am now going into full-on fall mode with my fantasy reads. I cannot wait. But I do hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you are going to be reading in October, in autumn. I am going to do like an October TBR. So give me any recommendations, please. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.